Hello everybody and welcome. Welcome to today's conversation, which is for business owners. It's how to stay on purpose, how to pivot strategically, and how to protect your profits. And I'm Karen Russo. I'm the author of The Money Keys. You can think of me as your money momentum coach, and I am so glad that you are here. And I'm going to go ahead and start with our presentation and give you all a chance to see the slides. And for those of you that are here live, someone give me a nice thumbs up that you can see the slides and still see me. Yes, wonderful. So this conversation for business owners, stay on purpose, pivot, but do it strategically, protect your profits, is really for all of us who own businesses, whether we're coaches or whether we have a financial services practice, whether we have what they call a brick and mortar small business where we've got a studio or a concierge florist business or other kinds of, a restaurant, some kind of business where people come in, or we've got a knowledge business, whether we employ one person or many. As business owners, this is a very challenging time. It's April 2020, and this is a challenging time to both stay in spiritual truth and to be strategic, effective, and wise in the decisions we need to make. And it feels to me like right now is a time for both spiritual realization and business acumen. And my intention today is that I'm going to share and we're going to discuss both of those things. So this conversation is going to be spiritual principles, as well as some leadership strategies and practical tools. And I made myself some notes here. You should think of this as an opportunity to have less stress and anxiety, both about your health, but also about economic conditions, that you should have more confidence and inspiration about making the decisions you need to make. You'll have greater financial stability, a deeper connection to the contribution you're here to make and how to change it in what way now, and then you'll be poised for growth. And yes, I said poised for growth, because one of the things you're going to see come through this is in every crisis, there is opportunity. And I'm going to be teaching probably for about 30, 40 minutes. I'll pause 2 or 3 times for questions and ideas and responses. And then I'm also going to share a next step tool, a special report for those of you that want to go deeper. And then I will conclude the recorded portion and stay on for open coaching and conversation. So along the way, if something emerges, if you're here live, I'm excited that we'll have a bit of a conversation about what is happening for you personally. And then, as I mentioned in the chat, for those of you that are coming in, we'll put that link in there one more time, but there is a handout that goes along with this conversation that if you're a person who likes to know there's a handout and take notes, you could use that. Otherwise, know that if you've registered, I'm going to be sending you a replay and you'll get the handout there as well. So as we move into this, I want you to, for yourself, what brought you here, what made this conversation important, bring that front and center, because I really want you to get the most out of being here. And I want to say that for me and for many of us, I feel like stuff has gotten real. So my little slide here says, stuff gets real. So right now, the coronavirus pandemic is factually real. It's affecting people and businesses all over the world. And that's true locally. It's true nationally, whether you're in the US or Canada, North America, wherever you're calling in from, there's impacts for businesses and economies. And not only is this a health crisis, and one of the things that's heartbreaking, I think, for me in this is not so much personal vulnerability, but I can feel that this is a health crisis where the people in our world who are most vulnerable, they're most vulnerable. So for those that are in, any kind of compassion or healing art, this can be a time where you really feel that compassion for the people who are suffering. And also, let's right now send our love and gratitude and healing light for every individual who's on the front line in care and in support and is caring for the people who are affected. So it's a health challenge. This is also an economic challenge. So many of you have heard the statistics that a third of Americans have experienced either a layoff or job loss or hour reduction. And a big percentage of American families do not have $400 for an emergency, much less thousands of dollars needed to survive through 30 days, 90 days, maybe more of an economic freeze or slowdown or a stay at home. So we're being affected. So one of the things I want to just acknowledge is that all of us are being affected, that this is factually real and it's presenting challenges. So we don't want to, I am a minister who is a money coach. So I hold both. In a moment, I'm going to talk about spiritual truth, so don't worry. But I'm going to start with, it's important to face the facts. So I'd like you to call to mind whatever for you is most challenging right now, and have the intention that the conversation today is going to address exactly what's most challenging for you. Okay. So let's, with that in mind, that facts are real at the level that they're real. What I also want to say is some of you are going to be like, thank goodness she's getting here, is that truth is still true. So the babies are still laughing. The dogs and cats are playing together. Thank goodness people are sharing that stuff on Facebook all the time. So truth is still true. The birds are still singing. And here in the Southwest, those beautiful yellow flowers are coming up through the desert. So when I say the truth is still true, I invite you, I've asked you to think about the pain, but I also invite you to bring to your mind, heart, and spirit your highest idea of spiritual realization. And to remember that spiritual truth means infinite, eternal, creative reality. That is what is true. That is what is true of me and you. It is what is true of all beings. So that truth is the foundation for what is called equanimity, which is the state of awareness that things in the world come and go. Economies rise up and recess, that bodies are born and grow and die. Things change, and yet there's something that's true. So whether you are a religious or spiritual person, I invite you to have a deep tune in right now. Your spiritual practice right now really means a lot. What is fueling your spiritual conviction right now? And so I'm going to pause right there. I've given a context that this is a conversation about equipping you to make decisions and move forward. And yet I'm acknowledging what's painful and what is true. And then I also want to say that business growth is still possible. So business growth, meaning the potentiality that the business that you operate, the contribution that you make, can still be valuable. And in every crisis, there is opportunity. And I don't mean exploitive opportunity for scarce products. What I mean, in every crisis, there is the opportunity to bring forward more of what your gifts are. That if not now, when? One of my coaching clients this morning said, if not now, when? So entrepreneurial innovation for whatever kind of business you're in is being called for, so you can be more creative about bringing what you have to bring forward. If a third of people have experienced job loss or change, it means 2/3 have not. I was just on was just on a call, a project where a corporate gig where I would have flown to La Jolla to deliver a session. They went ahead and said, we're a medical precision company. Our people mostly are working remotely. We'd like to go ahead and do this training. Can we do it virtually? And they had not done much of that before, but we were able to make it happen. So business is still happening. Customers still have needs, and what you have to offer matters. So one of the questions now is, what's the business innovation that's an opportunity for you? Okay. So I'm going to pause and actually stop the share, and we'll get a comment or two. I'd just like to hear, what do you react to this? What's important to you? What do you have to say about the pain, spiritual truth, and business opportunity? So what sparks in you? And let's get one or two comments. And just know that if you make a comment at this point that's being recorded, there will be more people who will see it in the future as we share the replay. So who is up? You can unmute yourself. You can raise a hand using the Zoom function. You can give a wave. Let's get one or two comments here. All right, we'll go Jen, Karen, then Robert. So Jen.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
So what's coming up for me, of course, are the challenges of trying to go 100% digital when I was a high-touch business prior to this.
Yeah.
But what's coming through spiritually is loud and strong and clear that I'm supposed to be an anchor for those who need my support right now. And that is bringing forth lots of creativity opportunities. So I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you, Jen. Karen.
Let's see. Yep. So I yesterday did a lot of pain acknowledging because my team all went on unemployment, and so I'm doing everything. I'm offering a no contact flower delivery during this time on a limited basis. And so, and I'm super grateful for my spiritual community that has transitioned quickly to digital. So we've been able to gather in small groups and larger groups, and it's been really grounding spiritually.
Yeah.
And I'm just so clear that God loves every one of us. And had a vision last night that really speaks to what you're talking about, is that in this upheaval, as I prayed about that last night, it was like I was in this dirt and flying around, and I was like, what's that? And then I was aware that the upheaval was happening because a plow was coming into the dirt. So when a farmer plows the ground, he is getting it ready for new seed. Mm. But the dirt experiences it as an extreme upheaval. And so just a vision of how in this time, this upheaval can really create an open space in our lives and in our hearts for new things. And so, and that's where the creativity comes in. I'm really longing for some strategic decision making, because we have lots of ideas, and now that I'm the only one, I can only do so much. So I've got to make some strategic decisions.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for that. And just, I just want to honor, just in your share, in just a couple of moments, we got to hear a business owner who made the decision to help with unemployment for the team, mystical visions in your dreams, and now strategies going forward. So you get the North American, like, yeah, you, like, everybody appreciates that. So thank you. And Robert, what's your thoughts here?
Hey, Karen, thanks so much for putting this together. I think, one of the things that the toughest thing, I think, for me is I work from home. My business is 99% virtual. So from that respect, it's not really impacted my business per se, but it has given me the opportunity to be more creative. I think, as Jen was kind of referring to, and be creative in the way I'm creative, which is really helping people to get online, to build a virtual business. And I think that many folks who are stuck at home right now may be not staying spiritually connected enough, thinking that there's too little available when in fact there's so much for them to do. And it doesn't even have to relate to technology or anything like that, but there are so many things you could be doing in terms of creating a new program or just thinking through or reaching out to your community. One of the reasons I'm here today is to get connected to be the one who's looking for connection rather than being the one who's leading the connection.
Yeah.
Because I've done this virtual Zoom for my community already, and I'll probably do another one next week. But so thank you, Karen, for doing this. And then in terms of business innovation, you know, I took what was planned as an in-person half-day workshop in Phoenix, and I turned it virtual. And now I'm delivering a virtual. And in fact, we're going to get more people to attend. And I'm also taking the time I'm actually adding a whole nother pillar to a new business line to my business, a new offering. And I'm thrashing that out now over the coming weeks, and we're going to offer that in a couple of weeks from now. So I just urge everyone to take this opportunity to really, know that we're supported in every way possible, and to take the time to be more creative, to help your community and continue to serve and build your community during these times, so that we can come out of it, because it will end. We don't know when, but it will end, and we want to have some momentum as it comes to an end, as we all get back out in the world.
Thank you so much. And for those of you that haven't met Robert yet, Robert is my business partner in Money Momentum. So one of the things we connected recently, where I just wanted to say, how can I'm moving into kind of a legacy mode, to a legacy mode with my Money Keys offerings. And it was, how can I make sure I'm contributing and connecting with more people? And Robert's been a great partner in that. There's one more place where I'm going to have him make a comment about how we work with our customers. So thank you all so much. I also see Peggy put in the chat, I'm grateful for my 12-step community, which has stepped up and gone to Zoom meetings. So me too, Peggy. And my local meeting, they went from 100 people in the room to 20 people, and all these beautiful rules. We sit 6 feet apart, and everybody, and it's so precious. And then all of these folks who, are learning Zoom for the first time are all like, well, I guess I got to learn this thing that all the kids are doing. And it's beautiful. The other thing I think this is helping us to experience is we see Elaine's cat going across. We see people's kids coming in. My favorite newscaster, she was speaking, and there were 3 other moms on. And right in the middle of this very serious conversation about, curves of various pandemic things, you hear, Mom, and all 4 of the women were all like, is that my kid? So anyway, just compassion and love for each other. So I'm going to now move into some of the content pieces. Oh, Taria says, reminded I share, it's important to take a pause. Take a pause before pivoting. So there's no accident that we've been given an opportunity to rest, let the inspiration come, and then act. So for all of us, day to day, I've increased my own spiritual practice. I find the evening spiritual practice, I'm more agitated, but I need it then because I need the refreshment. So all of it's necessary. So let's look at, I'm going to show 3 content-rich slides. I'll take a break after the first 2. Content-rich that are next steps for you all in terms of our 3 big ideas. So the big idea that we'll begin with first is the idea about staying on purpose. So in order to be effective right now, you need to be true to your values. I need to be true to my values. So when you think, act, and choose from your connection to your personal and business values, you can be clear and inspiring for your team, for your community, for your relationship to a higher power. So being true to your values, for many and all of us really, it's about safety and people first. So I work with a gal she owns a well-being spa. And early on in this process, there was some information that came in that someone who was a client may have been exposed to someone, wasn't completely clear, but this business owner, she said, safety and people first. So she closed the spa, but she immediately went into clear and transparent community. She emailed the clients. She emailed the clients and said, we have cleaned this, we have notified people. She was very clear about the direction of her business. She brought all her people in. She had to let some of them go, but she helped with them getting on unemployment. She started an employee fund. She asked clients for buying gift cards and contributions. And then she was posting by the next day on Facebook and Instagram where they were cleaning the spa, but they were taking their extra cleaning supplies to a local hospital. So what that means when you have the value, so she has a value for well-being, she put it first. So whatever decisions you have made and are making, safety and people first, which does mean you do need to manage risk appropriately for your business and then be transparent, like this gal with her communication was so mature, kind, not alarmist, but complete. So whatever your values of your brand, your mission, your vision, you want to reflect those in every decision, every choice you make now. Stay true to your people and to yourself. So what that means is this spa owner could not economically afford to pay her people full salaries without some kind of compensation. Of course, she's the one who immediately has stepped on the Payroll Protection Act application and has figured out exactly how to be able to keep some salary to her people and be able to recoup it as a grant. But you also at this time can't make decisions that are going to literally or figuratively bankrupt you energetically or economically. So it's a balance, but stay true to your values. And then keep contributing. Keep giving and keep receiving. So I have looked, I have a for-profit coaching business with the heart of a ministry. I teach tithing. So I teach that the spiritual practice of giving thanks for the 100% of revenue that comes in and giving 10% off the top. I continue to do that joyously and courageously and consistently. And I've been tithing and giving to people who inspire me, individuals. I've been looking for ways, clients and partners of mine, I said earlier, I bought a gift card to God's Gardens Treasures, the concierge florist in the East Valley of Arizona, because I want to support that business being there. I also want to say, be receptive. So if you need to ask peers, family, friends, colleagues for a testimony, technical advice, access to capital, like if you need to ask. So at this point, I had another coach colleague who said, right now, the people who are givers will be the ones who really thrive. So where for you to stay on purpose can you in your business stay true to your brand, true to your values? Because it's out of your values and your truth that you'll make your strategic decisions. So pivot strategically, choose wisely. Pivoting is more than just saying, I'm going to take everything I do and do it online, because for some people, it's not exactly that direct a piece. For many folks, it means to really be clear about what you offer and what's the value that you provide, and then determine how best to deliver it and how best to deliver it now. So I'm going to go through a few points here, and this is where I'm going to ask Robert at the end to speak about the dynamics with customers. Counterintuitively, in some ways, your customers want and need you now and later. So many of you know I work with Rachel Jane Groover, and she did some wonderful coaching for a group where she said, you want to be out talking about what your customers want and how you can help now and later. So sometimes we think, well, people are overwhelmed, so I shouldn't talk. But in many ways, people are overwhelmed, but they want inspiration and community. So you want to be really clear. What is it customers want and value from you? And to be able to speak to what is their pain, and Robert in a moment will say, what is the problem they have? And then what is the benefit or the solution that you offer? Here locally and actually across North America, there's the National Association of Women Business Owners, where many folks who are solopreneurs or business owners are coaches, experts, service providers. And one of the things we're doing for our local chapter, but many chapters are doing, is saying, how do we get even more clear about our offerings and the results we provide? So you do want to be visible and connected. So I would say your social media game, have it be real and relevant to now, and have it be really connected to what you know your clients need and value. So if you're offering services to busy moms, but you know those busy moms are now home with children, even if they have professions, you're going to be offering a different kind of message, maybe not a 9-month, $20,000 program that requires 3 in-person weekends, but you might be offering something that's simpler that they can access that's still going to meet needs. So be visible, be connected. And yes, move to virtual or blended offerings that deliver the most important result you can get for right now. And so that might mean taking what you have to offer and creating a VIP strategy session for marketing, for virtual presence setup, for client relationships. And the other thing is the choose wisely is that use this time for your innovation. Use this time if there's been a book, a project, a gift, or an offering that's wanted to come through now more than ever. This might be the time to take that pause and listen. So for our pause, I'm going to ask Robert to speak a little bit about the importance of the dynamic that a business solves problems for customers. So Robert, will you, I might even pin your video. We'll have you talk about that.
Sure. So thanks, Karen. You had me laughing there because I do say it is about the problems that you solve. And, I think for coaches, it's easier, I think, than let's say a brick and mortar business. But even coaches get stuck with not really thinking about solving problems. And if you think about what's going on in the world today, people still have problems. They have maybe some additional worries and concerns, but you can be out there helping to alleviate those concerns. And whether it's, and you don't need a huge technical infrastructure to create a Zoom call. I mean, that's fair. But the challenge is, how do you get people to join the Zoom call? Do you have a social media following you can ping? But do you have an email list? Have you been even speakers or people who have an offline business? So I do a lot of teaching on offline versus online, and in the offline world, almost any person is a potential client because you can speak to them. It's a two-way conversation. Online, it's essentially a one-way conversation. You need to know who they are. You need to know what they're challenged with and create a solution for them ahead of time. And you can't create that solution if you don't know what the problem is, and you don't know what the problem is if you haven't narrowed down, who you're trying to help. So solving problems is the first order of business. And in order to do that, you need to figure out who they are. So, uh, Karen and I, we've been working together now. It's close to a year. I think a year ago, we've known each other for coming on 11 years. And about a year ago, we started chatting about, boy, what could Karen do more online? And then we brought my work into it, and we kind of combined it a little bit. Um, and we've been creating some new reports and some new free information. And one of those things is it's actually called How to Make More Money, which if you try to advertise that online, it's a bad thing. The Facebook police don't like make more money. You've got to be really careful about, promising people to make more money, which is true. And we have earnings disclaimers. Making money, and as in doing anything, is you have to take personal responsibility for the actions you take. But we can show you what are the actions you need to take. Whether you take them or not is completely up to you. But we do have a new report called How to Make More Money, the essential connection between the problems you solve and the money you make. And that's what it really boils down to. And my business for the past 30 years has really been helping entrepreneurs get online. What does that mean? And we all know what online means because we participate in it. We're on a Zoom call. We see sales pages. We watch videos. We see order forms. We pay for things online. We get emails, probably too many, right? But we do get emails. And there's so many other components, product launches and webinars and all sorts of things to do online. And if you're not doing at least some of those things, not all of them, you can build up to that. But if you're not doing at least some of them, then you're losing a big opportunity to expand your business. And I'm not saying move your business online completely, but now is a really good time to do it, particularly because we can't go offline, and we don't know how long that's going to last. So I think we have that report for you. We're gonna share a link, I think, Karen.
Yeah, and I'm actually so I'll even show. So thank you, Robert, and that piece about the the piece that I really have learned from Robert is that piece about the connection between the problems that you solve and the money that you make. So I've put this link into the chat, but this is our one offer out of today's conversation, is for you to get a chance to connect with that special report. And what we're seeing is that the step-by-step understanding of how a business solves problems to make money is simple, but it's not always easy. And for many who are the inspired healer coach type folks that we often work with, it's a very strong framework to begin with. So for those of you that want to go deeper, go ahead and click that link. You'll get the report. What I should also say is if you want to see how I am learning and stretching by working with Robert for the consistent, short, frequent, great email follow-ups that have value and ideas, check this out. All right, so anything else, let's see, in the chat that we need to take a look at there? So people saw that in the chat. And Robert, will you answer any questions in the chat if we need to?
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
All right, great, thanks. All right, so let us go to my last slide that's content-y, has a lot of bullet points and a lot of the practical things that people are thinking about right now. And let's talk about protecting profits. So protecting profits. This is about you and me, creating a holistic plan so that you can sustain revenue, streamline expense, stabilize your household, so you will be poised, yes, to survive, but also to thrive through this challenging time. So this is about you, agile and resourced. So my encouragement is get your household set first. So yes, take the time, energy, and attention to stabilize your household, like housing, food, basics, for 60 to 90 days. So what that might mean is getting emotionally and spiritually okay with the fact that if you are using some of your liquid savings to stabilize your household for 60 to 90 days, know that's what they're there for. Especially if you are one of those people who, you know, eats low carbohydrates and, really keeps their house really tidy and has 3 to 6 months of expenses in a fund called contingency fund, and you had it done all perfectly. Well, good on you. If you're like the probably 80% of the rest of humanity, you probably have to go and kind of find those funds somewhere. But for many of the people who are on this call, we are first world people who have access to Zoom and the internet, is that we probably have some resources that can help stabilize the household for 60 to 90 days. So I would say, get that organized. And then the other part of this bullet point here is really important. Stop worrying about it. Once you've decided it's going to be $2,000, $5,000, $7,000 per month that I'm going to set aside, that we're going to have to access, depending on what your family situation is like. Once it's set, agree to it in your mind, and then don't worry about it anymore. Because if you're a business owner, you got a lot of other stuff to put your wonderful, beautiful, precious creative energy on. So when it comes to building business revenue, I encourage you to connect directly with your current clients to fulfill current work. So even if you are an interior designer who has a team out with a client, you may have to do some kind of connection and conversation to say, which part could we continue? Can we do this with safe distancing? How can we keep going? If we put a pause, when we restart, we may have to reprice. But do everything you can to fulfill current work. And then, just like I kind of reached out to my current, past, prospective clients for a conversation like this, is connect with the people you've worked with in the past, probably at least the past, maybe depending on your business, 1 to 2 to 3 years. And you may have them in a database where you're in regular connection. And even people who are prospective clients, and connect with some kind of care and a look to the future. So even if it's a conversation like this, so we've got people here who do life planning and financial services. We've got people on who do other kinds of professional services. You can absolutely put together an educational or connection conversation that talks about tips for now and looks to the future. And I would say do this with the caring, giving, service mindset, and also be receptive to being creative. If it feels right for you, you may want to figure out a way to keep selling to people's needs and wants. So there may be a way to put together, I worked with a gal this morning, she's going to do $500 thinking partner VIP sessions to review people's finances. She's like a CFO for hire. She said, for $500, I will get on, we'll do it by Zoom, there'll be some prep, and I'm going to help you review to go through this process. I'm going to review your actual, all your income. I'm going to look at all your expenses, and she can sell that now because people need and want it. And keep delivering for results. So whatever you are that you are still delivering, have it achieve the result you want to achieve. So, with Karin doing no-touch floral delivery, it's still creating a sense of relationship and connection for her clients, which in many ways may be something people want and need even more so than ever. And she may find other ways to deliver connection, like that's her delivery of connection and client relationships. There may be other things she can deliver that helps her folks achieve those results. And document the impacts of the pandemics and whatever efforts you've taken to mitigate. So for many of you who have filled out an SBA loan, or I worked with a gal who has a dance studio on the East Coast, and she was negotiating with a landlord, and the form that they sent her said, what have your past sales been? What are your current sales going to be? What efforts have you taken to mitigate loss? So she had to be able to document, and you can do that in a series of just bullet points, but you want to be able to document what's happened. You know, she had students who came in for after school programs, you know, this many, now they can no longer come. What's that impact? And what was also great is she was creative in that, as we brainstormed, she decided to be creative where she's asking for either forbearance, deferral, or um, reductions for a variety of different things in her lease, including common area maintenance, which, you know, is there a way that could be done differently? Like, she was just getting creative. So part of your building revenues is being able to document the things that you're doing. Streamlining expenses. So yes, you want to take care of yourself and your people. So just like you stabilize the household, you also want to think of like, what is the core functionality of the business? If there's equipment that has to be leased and maintained, if there's people that if I can't pay them, can I get them on an unemployment? Like, what do I personally need? Like, you do want to have your expenses be able to take care of your core. And then, just like this gal I talked about, ask your vendors, your landlords, your partners for either forbearance, deferral, or extension, and be creative and be in a partnership mindset, because there may be ways that, you know, think about it. We want everyone in the chain of our supply to be able to be supported during this time. So you want to be creative and in a partnership mode. If there's a program or an offering that you need to tell someone who's a partner of yours about, or is a vendor to you and you owe them money, but they might not realize they could get some support, like, be as much as you can in partnership. And then postpone or reduce the largest expenses first, then the smaller recurring ones. So you'll often hear me say it's hard to scrimp your way to riches. So it's much better, if you're going to look at expenses to streamline, to look at the largest ones and use your agile and resourced energy for those. And then yes, access resources. So I am a generalist, so I don't have, you know, all details on these, but I'm going to put the links up. So the Small Business Administration has loan and other programs. And then the Payroll Protection Act has a lot of flexibility for a loan that can become a grant if it covers your payroll. And I believe it's April 3rd that lenders will be able to offer that program. These are good links. I'm going to put them into the chat. One of these links is from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, which, you know, has a visual, thank goodness, about how to use the Payroll Protection Act. And for some of us, like, oh, I'd like to see pictures on that. So I will put that into the chat right now. Here we go. Very good. Okay, so out of this slide, there's a lot on this slide, so it's a good time for ahas and action steps. So let me hear ahas and action steps from you all on this particular topic about the protecting your profits, revenue ideas or expense ideas. So who got an aha or an action step, and maybe someone we haven't heard from yet? Is that Darren from, it's Darren who's mind muscle, isn't it? Can you unmute and tell us what you're getting out of this, Darren? I'm so happy to see you.
Hey, Karen, nice to see you too. Thank you for this. Thank you to you and Robert. I think it is just the mindset piece where you're upping the value that you have, right? And right now it's just probably the idea that we just kind of just get into that giving mode and I just know that whatever you give, you will receive, and just not really expect that it's going to come from one source or another, right? And I think it's just that. Keep it simple. Just, yeah, take care of the facts. You have to know where you are, and then you can grow from there. But I think it's just getting into that mode of giving and what service you can provide. So, and I really got that mindset idea planted with working with you. So I am eternally grateful for my time with you, and the connection that continues. Thanks.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Darren, very much. And he's an expert who can help. I'm thinking of all those men who are at home who could use your like at-home fitness tips for busy guys. It's like,
that's up to all of this is actually kind of spurred. I mean, it's been a lot in the making, but I put some real good things in place, and for some reason it seems to be good timing for me actually. So
all right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, so let's get maybe one more comment, and then I'm gonna close out the formal, and then I'm gonna stay on for open questions and coaching. So one more just aha from seeing this revenues and expenses piece. So go ahead and unmute or give a wave. Who's got an idea? Taria, what you got?
Okay, honestly, it was funny to hear you say, don't be afraid to use any liquid savings, because I'm finding myself not wanting to spend anything. But I know if I grow a garden, which is what I always have wanted to do, that not only will I receive food from it, it'll bring joy to my children and I. I just I need to not stress, right? So it was good just to be reminded of, I mean, I don't have a lot, but I have something that I can play with so that I'm able to at least bring that to my family. And recognize that even though half of my clients had to close their businesses because they're brick and mortar, no one has actually said, I'm not going to pay you for me supporting them with their bookkeeping and their strategic planning. But I've had to just really ride the wave of that fear, being a single mom, I can't just, so it's just such a blessing to receive this call and information, and just to really receive a lot of people who are providing support at a time when a lot of us, we need it, right? We need that extra. So thank you. Thank you for the reminder.
All right. So we're going to use, there's a in the chat function, I think you have a chance to go yes or no, over there in the kind of the poll. So the question is, I'm going to add the question, well, actually, I'm not going to do it that way. I'm just going to say it. Should Taria do the garden? So can you all go yes? Can you add yes? Or can you just, everybody who thinks she should do the garden, just write it in the chat. Yes, 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 garden, 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 do it, do it. Do it. Okay. So you're getting a yes from everybody. Yes, 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 sister. All right. So Robert, how about a comment from you? And then I'm going to close the recorded portion out.
Yeah, I think that brings up such an interesting point about spending, right? I think expenses, and I do this almost on a weekly basis. I evaluate what are we really spending as a business and what can we cut? Because if you're not looking at your expenses, they get out of control, and you wonder why you're not keeping the money you're making. It's because the expenses are way out of whack. But during these times, when everybody, may be thinking pulling back, if you have the ability to have some excess money or something, it's our spending, all of our individual spending that keeps the economy going. And the economy is taking a huge hit. And I think if everyone who can afford to continue to spend should do so, should continue to invest and do the things that you want to do, as long as you're not putting yourself or your family at any type of financial risk. But continue spending, because that's what's going to keep the economy going and make it easier for us to recover when we come out of this.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a beautiful thing for you to say. Just, every decision we make, from a spiritual perspective, every decision, every choice we make literally affects all. So sometimes our own generosity. I mean, oh, Karen says we're buying a new house. Martha's talking about repurposing things. I want everyone to feel really good that Bill and I pretty much order from a locally owned Scottsdale vegetarian restaurant, Asian restaurant, pretty much every day. So we are doing our part. And part of it is, it's like, I want those restaurants to be there. I want the servers to be paid. I want the delivery people to be paid. So our spending does make a difference. All right, my dear ones. So I am now I'm gonna say, for the people who are watching the recording, thank you so much. You got the link to the handout is coming with your replay link, and your special report offer is also coming as well. So for those of you watching the replay, thank you so much. I'm so glad you've been here. And we look forward to staying in touch with you.